I burnt out on doing the round of 16, I guess it was. It's just too many games, too long. Round of 8 should be easier.
Welcome, Commander.
Okay, so we have game 1 between BM and APM. Burger Moggers versus All Pawns Matter. Not sure which APM team this is.
Battle started.
We have Flats and Forests, definitely an entertaining map. APM, solid team overall, definitely practicing. I think this is APM 4, but I could be mistaken. I could look, but Burger Moggers, led by King Akumar on the left-hand side. So we have Random Variable playing as Cortex. We have Psycor playing as the Arm Commander. And we have Quaif playing as the Legion Commander. Against him we have Glorp playing as Legion, Akumar as Arm, and Victor as Cortex. This is a giant map for 3v3, very large. Lots of mexes, many mexes for both teams to take, as well as a geo on each of the hills. There are trees for reclaim, but honestly the trees are not worth building resbots for, as they are about 27 energy per second in that area, which is pretty weak. The early game is going to be the teams focusing on getting their expansions out, sending out multiple cons to take as many mexes as possible, whilst on the other hand we have multiple units also being sent out from both teams to go bother those cons, try to pick off mexes, try to kill the cons if at all possible, and just use up all the APM of the other team dealing with problems. And off the back of that early game, this harassment that's going to go on, that'll generally give one team an advantage on map pressure and expansion. Everything that matters is the metal produced. The team who has more metal produced has more, and as such will normally be at an advantage. You see Akumar opting for a pretty aggressive 4-con opener, expanding in multiple different directions. This con expanding down, these two cons expanding up to Glorp's area, and this con expanding forward towards the enemy. His match is Psycor, who only has 3 cons currently out, is building his 4th. Getting harassed a little bit by Glorp, loses a mech, loses a radar tower. This harass becomes more annoying. And his expansions are also heading up to the back and down. Random Variable, taking a bit of the pressure off, is also got 2 cons out expanding. But Quaif does not have a lab of his own, securing each area with LLTs and using his commander to take more mexes. Bit of a greedy play. This map is very large, so normally every player needs a lab. But definitely it could pay off in the long run, as it will give Cycle more resources to play with. But we do see they are struggling to cover all of the angles of attack. Cycle having to deal with front and side, pressurizing him. Random Variable not really under too much pressure, but is fully defensively postured. Victor doing a very slow expand, only now getting his con out for taking mexes. So creating pressure, but not really changing the situation. But we do see a kind of collapse here for Psycor, unable to keep up with the unit production from both Akumar and Glorp, as Quaif is just busy taking more mexes. APM unable to spend their resources, Psycor not capable of dumping all the resources he needs, and currently just kind of getting run over by Mass, Wheelie, and Rover. His commander not providing enough build power, as now on the other side, another breakthrough happens. A con is going to start going down here for Psycor. Mex is going down. His base in a bit of shambles. Random Variable going to have to start doing some heavy lifting here. Does catch the raids from Victor. Has most of the army actually that's currently alive for APM, but Psycor's main base is in kind of major issues, major distress, as mexes start getting taken down, LLT's being forced out, but not enough energy at the moment, and we see APM just floating. A lot of metal, and that means we see a metal produced lead here, very small one for BM, but currently about 2,000 plus metal sitting in APM's hands, doing nothing, whilst BM sitting with about 500-600 metal, far more proactive, far better placed to use the resources they have. Raid still going through, still picking away at the units, still finding cons, being annoying. Victor also finding more pressure, is going to start suffering in a counter raid, not well positioned, will lose this con. But overall, BM coming up massively ahead. Quaif's lack of a lab putting too much pressure on Cycle. And now we actually see Alara starting to roll in, heading straight into the back line. Mex is all over being denied, either dead or just not taken. And Cycle just cannot get the units out that he needs to have out. Quaif taking a lot of mexes, creating a lot of safe zones, but for this play, Cycle is suffering. All of these expansions are effectively dead and being retaken. And he is just under so much pressure. And now again, from the other side, Akuma swings in, and more mexes going down, and the metal produced starting to build a big lead for BM. Metal per second, energy per second, all showing an advantage. Army value starting to even out, but there are just rovers everywhere in the back line. Big counterattack is heading towards Akuma. He is aware of it, has units in place, but they just get absolutely overwhelmed. But still, Mex is just being fully denied. This is perhaps the first glimpse of hope for APM. But Random Variable having a bit of an APM stall as well is getting caught out here. Might be able to make it back into Akuma's main base. Lots of solars up for grabs. Couple of mexes. But, oh no, we see Victor having an APM stall as well. Akuma gives up one mech, self-deezer to help defend, and so far, relatively good defenses going on here. Not too much damage going, just a few mexes. And still, we do see now Quaif has units out, is starting to print out units, which is removing some pressure on Cycle. Random Variable still running around in Akuma's backline, but not really finding anything. Victor, not having security's expansion, is lagging behind on taking mexes, but the pressure that's been put on Cycle through the Akuma Glorp play is immense, and Cycle is so far back, has not managed to secure any of the center, is moving his commander forward to secure it, has switched over to 2 vehicle labs, and yeah, finally the raid goes down. The third mex does fall, but also not really anything noteworthy. We have incisors to the south going down. We have Cycle fighting in the middle, but Akuma creating a lot of pressure. Quaif is starting to push forward into the expansion, decides to back up, seeing the units moving towards him. Lorp also moving towards the front line. Will begin pressuring back these Alaris. But army value is now starting to move pretty heavily into the favor of BM, and APM needs to find a way to either secure their mexes or at least find a large counterattack. Akuma just keeping the pressure on, but also going T2 behind this. If there is a window to turn the game around, it's now. APM has to put all of their pressure on and try to find a breakthrough on this transition. There is a nice leak here, going to take out a con, takes out multiple mexes, denies the expansion and the LLT, but at the same time we see Akuma leaking through, breaking the line, pushing Cycle and Random Variable back as Victor starts arriving in the front line. His own leak gets through, taking out more mexes, and the game stayed pretty heavily in the favor of BM, but TM Well, APM does have a pretty decent army advantage coming off the back of these raids going in and dying. But T2 is up, T2 is established, and that is going to create problems in the next 2 minutes. We still have some raids getting through, some more mechs is going down, APM finding some damage that they desperately need. Victor being very slow on taking and securing these mechs still. But his commander is deep into random variables territory. We do see the counterattack roaring forward now from Cycle, but the T2 Jags are out. Jag is going to do very well into Blitz, especially once you get more than 5 pretty much. Akuma printing out fusions at the moment, giving a massive energy per second advantage over 2BM. Glorp and Quaif in a running battle on the top side, just constantly killing everything there. Victor trying to pressure forward with his commander, not really going to find anything. Still not really secured the hill, not securing the area around the geo, so we do see leaks coming through still. And definitely a bit of a loose set of play coming out of BM. Not setting their lines well enough, so constantly getting their own leaks back now that we've got some stability. But Jags are out, Jags are hunting down these leaks. And overall, the game heavily in BM's favor. APM is looking for a bomber play, but at this stage, there is a chance that if these bombers can take out both fusions, the game state will completely destabilize for BM, but unless they get to the fusions, unless they get the build power, unless they get the lab, economically the hole is getting very, very deep. But we do see these leaks, these run-bys, the army value that was in APM's favor, now switching back to BM. But sacrifice to cause this map state imbalance. But as the Jags come out, as they keep trading better and better, the situation is going to become more and more dire. At the moment, though, we do see absolutely no awareness of the air switch, but Shurikens are about to show up here to counter Victor's push. And this should proc an air lab from somebody on BM, but the bombers are in transit. But unfortunately, the bombers appear to be flying straight over the Jags. Jags, a raiding unit that actually have AA of their own. And only 9 bombers really doesn't feel like enough. If this was more along the lines of 15, 20 bombers. Akuma not going to see this until the very last second. The bombers are flying in. His radar coverage not great, misses the Jag ball. Flak is going to come out in time to start shooting them, but we do see the bombers hitting the fusion. Akuma quickly moves his build power over to start repairing it. Oh, the bombers all group up, get absolutely annihilated by the flak truck. At the same time, random variables commander goes down, and
destroyed.
As well as Quave's commander going down. So down to 1 commander for APM. That commander is currently also sitting in the middle of the map, near the T2 blob. So a lot of the Jags actually died here. And this game state now heavily in the favor of BM. Though T2 is out, we do see Psycho doing a good job catching up, trying to get his situation to match Akuma, but the rest of the map is kind of in a bit of a state, and we do see Jag starting to leak forward in multiple areas. Victor pressurizing with these incisors, has cleared out multiple expansions. Center looking very loose and open for attack. A lot of cons are out though. Upgrading the mexes does actually look as though possibly more cons, very even amount of cons are expanding. And the game state, while definitely in favor of BM, is actually not as clearly bad, especially if this leak gets through and finds the exposed underbelly of the backline. Jags extremely proficient at line breaking and avoiding areas of resistance, but don't want to lose any of the Jags to Beamers or LLTs. Needs to be on top of this. Every Jag that goes down to this Beamer is a massive casualty that really can't be afforded. They have Shurikens out, but as we can see, Jags can counter Shurikens relatively easily, but only one Jag makes it through. So what could have been a threat to the backline will already be stopped pretty much by this LLT. We see energy issues as well affecting random variables, so the Jag not able to fire at full efficiency. Running tank fight happening in the middle. Bit of a breakthrough attempted here, is shut down hard though. And overall, not much comes of any of the pressure on the map at the moment. Akuma handing out a fusion to everybody, making sure that his team can play the game properly. Victor switching into air is going to be providing utility, though we do see Akuma having an air lab of his own. Big Jag counterattack coming down the center of the map. Psycho definitely looking for something here, but army value getting a bit rough as Glorp has kind of turned the printer on, has taken a map state advantage, and is getting all of this reclaim that has been left from their scraps. And as he collapses down, gets all of these units caught. Helios, Alaris showing up with the Jags, just absolutely melting them. Army value up to nearly 100% advantage for BM. And one feels that this counterattack might be a bit lethal. Not a lot in front of it. We do have some bulls coming out. And Akuma is beginning to look for map state information, is sending scouts all over the place. So we see what Akuma can see. Get some information. Doesn't see the scaling yet, but has some idea of the mech situation. And this should trigger the next stage of his game. But we see the breakthrough is happening here. Raj is going down. The Bulls do make a catch here, deny the forward pressure a little bit, but lots of units going down for APM. And now Victor starting to pressure forward, is showing up with fighters, is showing up with Shuris, and we have a large group of Jags that have snuck down, hidden by the giant map from APM. So behind this medium tank push, there are now 11 Jags going to show up. Random variable in absolutely no position to defend this. All of the T2 has been routed mid to try and hold off the aggression out of Akuma. More Jags about to push through center as well. Very lightly defended, only LLTs. And the Shurikens commit in. We do see random variable has more fighters, but this is just giving an opportunity for Victor to show up and push in. The Jags will end up killing all of the fighters. The Shurikens do go down there. In the center, the Jags smash through, taking down multiple mexes. There's a rolling T2 fight happening on this hill. But to the south, we see Victor has broken through. There's nothing here to stop this play. Reinforcements are coming down, but more pressure is being placed in mid. And the south, to the north, the fight on the hill is going the way of BM. The massive metal-produced and energy-produced advantage just starting to be a little bit insurmountable for APM. As Victor now has fully denied the southern mexes, is going to start moving up. Some of his units AFK, but other units making their way into random variables base. The T2 fight on the hill is going pretty evenly, and Resbots are taking as much as they can, but the resign vote comes out. South is fully collapsed, and APM throws in the towel. BM taking game 1 of the round of 8. And yes, Cannibal, I might have overslept. I
Battle ended.
got hit by insomnia, and ended up playing small team games at 9 in the morning. Finally went to bed at like 1 p.m. And yeah. Forgot that today was Saturday and not Friday. So, whoops. I will be around tomorrow for the finals of Faction Wars. Okay, so game 2. We have APM versus BM on Serene Caldera. Should be pretty close. Another very large map. Actually, so many of these maps this tournament are extremely large. This being one of the biggest water map of the tournament. Leaves a lot of options on how to play it out and where to go. So again, first order of business for all teams is to get a decent start up, secure their mexes, get their half of the map in shape, and then also try to raid through to the enemy side as well as deny those raids themselves. So, we have Glorp spawning in as the Arm Commander. We have Akuma as the Legion Commander with their Sea Lab in the water. And we have Victor as the Cortex Commander. And against them, for APM, we have Quaif as the Cortex Commander, busy building mexes and titles. We have Psychor as the Legion Sea Lab. And we have random variables starting on his island, taking mexes and building winds. So we see the expansion path of Psychor currently has 3, 4, 5th con in queue, lots of cons out. Handing some of them out to random variable to secure mexes. And first unit is after the 5th con. For Akuma, we actually see even more cons, 6 cons out, before finally we see the first hippocampus for them. We do see Glorp now also jumping into the lab with into the sea with the Arm Naval Lab, and Quaif hopping in with the Cortex Naval Lab. Also random variable opting for his own Naval Lab, as they keep drawing more pictures. Victor currently not yet going for his Naval Lab. This is a very, I would say, optimized build in many ways, as they are spending extremely well, but not overspending either. And mech taking going extremely well for BM. Once Victor secures these mexes, increases these metal income, he will also be getting into the water. So temporarily there will be some more build power out for APM. It will be able to have a little bit more on the map, but we can already see that off the start that metal per second, energy per second, metal produced, energy produced, all pretty heavily in favor of BM. It's very early days, so it's nothing crazy, nothing that's going to end the game, but it definitely is giving BM some advantage in this early stage. But first blood did go to Psychor, who took out a hippocampus here of Akuma. But Akuma, in a great position, is expanding extremely well. Is going to lose another hippocampus, being a little bit overly ambitious. Victor getting some of his own hippocampus from Akuma is going to be positioned in time to stop these supporters out of Quaif, gets his radar up, moving into the lab finally. We see another hippocampus sneaking through to the east of the map, moving into BM's territory. At the same time, we have multiple hippocampus moving down into APM's territory. A bit of a running skirmish going on here between random variable and Glorp. But currently we can see the expansion path that Akuma has chosen has worked out extremely well. 30% advantage in metal per second. A mex does go down to this hippocampus. Akuma messing up a little bit here, not quite in range to take this mex, fully delaying his expansion now. Definitely something that he's going to be unhappy to see if he sees this in review. But fully delaying the expansion path towards Glorp. And Hippocampus are going to get here just before the torpedo launcher goes up. So close, 97%. They sneak through. But at the same time, Hippocampus sneaking through for Akuma are going to get shut down. Will deny the torpedo launcher, so the metal just goes into the void. This con still stuck out here. This con taken out by random variable, finding some useful poke, equalizing the economic situation. We have the hippocampus diving deep, looking for kills. They do take out a radar. They are fully surrounded. Will take out the con though. Riptides are coming out for Victor. More dolphins being made by Glorp. Akuma currently switching back into more cons to take these up. Not seeing this island is just losing all of his time and tempo here. This could be absolutely lethal in a game state. If you don't see this, this is probably a 2-minute delay on the expansion. 6 mexes just not being taken, 7 mexes actually, because of this error. And we do see the counterattack raging forth here. Army value heavily in favor of BM. Units scattered all over the back line, about to break through the front line. But most of the mexes are underwater, so they won't go down. Victor committing in, finding a pretty decent catch on the supporters, but the commander is in the water, shooting away, takes down one of the riptides. This gives Quape the ability to eat about 700 metal. But all over the map to the south, we see BM is catching out units and killing mexes and denying this area. Akuma still not seeing this. That's probably 3 minutes now of this not being taken, as this hippocampus in the back line is just taking down more and more mexes. And funnily enough, even with all of this pressure, even with these 2 islands not being taken, we do see a large metal per second, energy per second lead for BM, just having a cleaner build, more quickly securing the center of the map. It's not so much a pathing bug as it is, this is just out of range. The con can't actually get in range of this mex. Perhaps there's a place to put it. Yeah, I think maybe the con can reach this mex, but it can't actually get into this mex's range from what I can see. And so it is just stuck permanently trying to build this. You see how all of these mexes are right on the edge, and this one is not as close as it could be. I think this is the correct placement, is my guess. And this is just a little bit misplaced. I could be wrong. Akuma could correct me on that. I do not know the exact measurements of optimization here. But I can safely say that this is devastating. This is like 4 minutes of metal going away, and it's not just 1 mex, it's 8 mexes now, if not 9 mexes, that are just being denied. So APM can thank their lucky stars that that's the case, because if these mexes had been taken, this metal produced stat would be even more dire. We do have a bit of a clash breaking out here. Victor getting a really good engage. Potentially going to catch the destroyer out here if he commits forward. Not combining his fleet yet, but the destroyer is going to get caught out. Big catch here for Victor. Bit of a pity his commander isn't here to help with the reclaim. Quape in a good position to get all of the metal, but Victor absolutely cleaning up this fight. Psycho getting run over by a Dolphin Hippocampus Brigade as he's gone T2. And opting for, oh no, he opted for build for cons instead of printing out the Leo Campus. So Glorp is going to get a run-in on the base, is going to be able to take down the build power, is going to be able to start eating away at the... Oh, so far it's not over yet. One con went down, two con towers go down. Resign vote came out, but not throwing in the towel yet. But behind this, we see that Akuma is just much further ahead on his T2 investment. Finally sees this, finally changes the mex location. Still possibly not going to find it here. Might be time to say discretion is the better part of valor and just go grab everything else. This mex is just absolutely messing with them. Victor is on the attack. The Leo Campus are now breaking through to the west of the map. Random variable trying to go on his counterattack here. Is not quite finding success. is being met by Glorp. The Riptides are going to get caught off by the Dolphins. Sorry, these are Elisaurs. Resign vote comes out. Random variable sees the writing on the wall. The T2 boats are rampaging through the back line. Quaif is no longer holding his position adequately. Psycho trying to take the area back. Resign comes out, possibly a little bit premature, with the fact that these mexes are still not taken, but the map state, the economic state of that game, extremely dire, and BM take the win, even with just fully missing these mexes. So just a better build order overall. Hello, Huck. So, Faction Wars is a 3v3 tournament that is currently ongoing. The finals are tomorrow. The round of 8 and the semis were played literally a few hours ago. And every team needs to have one person play ARM, one person play Cortex, and one person play Legion. They are playing on very large macro maps, generally. So we get some very interesting late games occurring. So we just watched BM progress 2-0 out of the round of 8. Now we are going to watch Delete Legion against Pro. See how this series goes. Okay, so yeah, Pro doesn't have Randy. I do feel like Pro without Randy is like a team without their captain. Pro never seems to perform as well if Randy isn't there. But let's see what happens in Pro against Delete Legion.
Welcome, Commander.
So our first game is going to take place on Rosetta, everyone's favorite map. You know, just love Rosetta on repeat. It's such a fun time.
Started.
Definitely a very interesting map for small team games. In the red team, we have Pro with High Gain spawning in as the Legion commander. We have In the Club as the Armada commander. And we have X Factor as the Cortex commander. And against them, we have Delete Legion, the blue team. Domino spawning in as the ARM commander. We have Emre as the Legion commander, a man who has definitely found joy in the Legion span, and Chomo Lungma as the Cortex commander. So a few things about this map. Lots of mexes. Need to secure those mexes. But the mexes are not born equal on this map. We have some 1.0 mexes. We have some 2.0 mexes. We have some 3.0 mexes that are very important. And in the center for both teams, we have a 10.0 mex. So you definitely want to grab these mexes as fast as possible and secure them from enemy raids. There's also about 2,000 metal on the map for each team to grab, so 4,000 metal in total, as well as 5 geos scattered around the map for each player to grab. So in total, 10 geos on this map. Early game is going to be all about securing your mexes, making sure you grab the 3.0 mex clusters and avoid the 1.0 mexes until later, while sending in your own raiders and own harassers to go and figure out what the enemy's doing and deny their mexes and tie their APM up. We see Emre spamming out goblins, a unit that has swung wildly in my estimation from being completely bad to not bad. Could be pretty OP. But really struggles against light scouts early, but becomes an extremely good mass unit eventually. And we see the first raid by Emre, or actually from Domino, given to Emre, went to the center, denied this 10.0 mex for a few seconds. Inda putting up an LLT, making a good call as even more units are routed here before taking the mex. But behind this, we do see that Domino has grabbed the mex. So the forward pressure is definitely helping out Delete Legion. also going to deny the LLT. 90% goes down. 10.0 mechs not going up. Definitely not enough priority being put into this by the teams, and we see actually just all over the place the pressure is being put on Pro early game, and the goblins show up, and this construction vehicle is down to 25 HP. It goes down. Massive loss already actually for Pro. High gain coming down, trying to help secure this area now. Emre sprinting to contest the middle of the map. More units, more goblins out from High Gain to the north, going to harass and raid Chomo's base. X Factor starting to put pressure back. Grunts will generally destroy goblins pretty cleanly, but not if you get outnumbered and not if you get caught in transit, as the goblin actually has longer range, which is very surprising when you actually look at its stats, but very inaccurate, so it can rapidly turn against the goblin. Goblins to the north, slowing down Chomo. X Factor gets his engagement. We can see the grunts just absolutely deleting the goblins. But then you realize that goblins are very, very cheap. But still, the grunts get an extremely good trade here. But there's more goblins, because goblins are effectively free, and if you chase after them, their guns become extremely good. Inda has managed to secure the central mechs. We don't see either team focusing on setting up an overcharged mechs here from Legion. Definitely a bit of a surprise, I would say. Changing this mechs from a 10.0 to a 20.0 in the early game can be very useful. But there is so much metal on this map that it's not the highest priority, I'd guess. We actually see High Gain switching over to Satyrs, a plasma bot that can lob its shell. Very interesting. Legion's strength is in numbers, and so the famous saying, quantity has a quality all of its own, definitely applies to Legion. And their quality also has a quality all of its own, but all over the map we kind of see a struggle here for Pro to have enough units out. They've taken mexes really well, they've secured their area, but just the pressure is on them. A lot of the units actually existing with High Gain, who is not facing a whole lot of units from Chomo, but also not really finding any forward pressure. Also on the other side of the map, we have X Factor under heavy pressure from Emre, trading extremely well with these more expensive incisors, but Emre just having so many units that he's keeping the pressure on. And Domino sitting with a group of 17 blitzers, and Inda having 8 blitzers to match is definitely a bit of an issue. Emre's push gets shut down, but this terrain is very awkward for X Factor to fight on with incisors, as the goblins can just run up and down the hill with ease, but the incisors have to do massive long pathing. And we see beamers being set up, but energy being an issue for Inda means that this breakthrough might just go through. No units in place. Not committing in, but X Factor's base looking very exposed. His commander kind of placed in the middle of nowhere. I don't know why the commander is out here. Feels like the commander would be so much better placed either in the base or moving forward to take mexes. And I think Domino is going to find this hole and is just running straight at X Factor's base. There's not enough in front of it to stop these blitzers. 8 incisors are not going to stop 20 blitzers, not even close. The blitzers are hitting the base, breaking through. High Gain is making progress to the north, but they can't stop these blitzers. And X Factor's base is just kind of deleted. LLTs come out. Blitzers now break off, start running into the various mexes. X Factor does push Emre back, but at what cost? Everything, apparently. Like, everything's gone. The mexes are gone. The Geo's going to fall. The back mexes collapse.
Destroyed.
We see High Gain taking out Chomo's comm, so like a counterattack is brewing to the north and he's making progress, but It is nothing. Emery getting some massive D-guns. 6 incisors go down here. The backline is in absolute shambles for Pro. The base of X Factor halved in size. He at least keeps his lab and build power alive, so not the end of the game for him, but so many mexes fall. Geo gets denied. Domino just printing even more blitzes, smelling weakness. Begins committing forward. Highgain pushing forward, but we actually, if we look at the builds here, the only player spending their resources is X Factor, both in the club and Highgain sitting on full metal bars. That's 4,000 metal. Currently just locked away. The game would be relatively even, but when you remove 4,000 metal, that's a 10% advantage, and that's where all of this crushing pressure is coming from. That's literally the difference in army value. Round 2, the wave is coming again for X Factor, and this time he's in a much worse position to deal with it. The wave is still going forward. And Pro is just kind of caught with their pants down, unable to cover all of the pressure. We have Mosquitoes showing up, trying to snipe out the build power that X Factor has. The run by is continuing into now Club's base. Not having enough units out. Highgain being forced back finally by the vehicles out of Chomo. And the map is just in absolute shambles. Emery's commander is beginning to walk into X Factor's base. The blitzes are just being printed. They finally stopped, but we see the next wave already here. T2 coming out of Domino. Pro finally getting their spending in order, but possibly because all of their mexes are dead. Domino kind of just letting all of these blitzes get caught out and die here. But the next wave is crashing through. X Factor doing his best to defend with these incisors on a really good kiting path here. But there's just so many blitzes that they keep bullying forward. And there's so much metal on the ground here. Thousands of metal on the ground for Pro, but all of their mexes are dead. And that means they're losing thousands of metal as it doesn't take over to them. Bit of a counterattack started, but Pro is nowhere near to T2, and we see Domino handing out these T2 cons, 3 T2 cons, 6 T2 cons out already, holy moly. They realize that there is just nothing going to come back at them for a bit, as something comes back at them. But 6 T2 cons just spiderwebbing across the map, and the Elite Legion kind of just blowing Pro out of the water at the moment. Still, we see another blob of blitzes, 14 blitzes running in the back line. Emre's Com kind of trying to shut the door with LLTs in front of X Factor. Chomo pushing forward, creating issues now that Highgain can't deal with. Highgain trying to eco up, but not in the position for T2. Club, but not in the position for T2, as everything is in shambles. Geo gets denied, goes down. Blitz is denying more mexes, and this game is just dire. So dire for Pro. Absolutely in shambles. The cons that are trying to take the mexes back get caught out by the blitzes again. The mosquitoes trying to kill them, but all the cons go down. Mexes are just being denied. Club trying to go T2 at the moment, has the resources. We see Pro once again in a glut of resources here, but 2.0 max is up. That's 40 metal per second compared to the 10 metal per second for Pro. And Pro is launching a counterattack. X Factor trying to find something here, is cutting through these goblins with the incisors, but there are so many goblins here that they are finding some success. But we can see just how efficient incisors are at just denying goblins. X Factor will take out the Geo, but is going to blow up all of his own tanks by doing so. And Fusion's now coming up, AGO's up already, and this game is over. Like, this game is just over once, and if we see Delete Legion put on the unit printer and decide to go for it. We have Jags currently running in. They are about to get run down by masses of Blitz, but the Geo gets denied again. The Blitz will pursue them to the ends of the universe. Emery actually running out of energy, so he can't shoot at maximum efficiency, but the Jags slow everything down, and it's really just up to this team to figure out how they want to end it. We do see Bulls coming out. We see another fusion being dropped here. Highgain trying to launch a counterattack, but finding that the line has been drawn, he is not going to be making much progress here. Indeed, he's going to get pushed back. In the club, getting his T2 cons out, but there are not enough T2 cons on the side of the map. I see 3 in total. Finally, this max is going up, but we have a 30,000 metal advantage at 14 minutes. It's just so very, very over. It's so very, very over at this stage. Unless Pro can find some Hail Mary play that just destroys an entire base, and it kind of has to be Domino's base that falls. There is not a whole lot left in this game. We have Bulls arriving to the front, controlled by Emre. Nothing that X Factor has is going to match these Bulls. We have more Goblins showing up to the south. The Bulls breaking through the LLT line, slowly deleting out the Pounders. X Factor trying to catch up, trying to set up his Geos, trying to set up his economy, trying to get his T2 lab out, but nearly 40,000 metal advantage to Elite Legion, and yeah. We see Gladiators out for Highgain. These tanks are extremely good skirmishers, almost like a hound in vehicular form, but they struggle to get to grips with mobile units, though Highgain actually has enough here to trade extremely efficiently. Begins chipping away at Pro's forces, and we're going to have to see a plan made to deal with what Highgain's doing, but unfortunately for Pro, to the south, we have Razorbacks coming out. That's the plan to deal with these units. The T3 switches fully occurred. Domino able to kind of just do whatever he wants, having so much room that he hasn't even eaten his lad. Honestly needs more build power to start dumping all of his resources. And once the Tech 3 hits the front line, it kind of feels like the only option Pro has is to fold at that moment. Metal produced is up to a 50,000 advantage. Energy is approaching 1 million. We have a bunch of cons. AFK are not doing anything that could be upgrading more mexes, but overall, almost all of the mexes are upgraded. Almost all of the Geos. Only the frontline Geo that's under threat is not currently a Geo. So the transition over to T2 economy is in full force for Pro, whilst if we look over at, or for Elite Legion, for Pro on the other hand, the T2 economy switch is, it's happening. They have a fair bit of fair few mexes upgraded, but only 2 AGOs up. Multiple clusters of mexes still not upgraded, and yeah, it is just not a playable game state. Highgain has 3 Razorbacks knocking on his front door, as very few Gladiators left, having fallen in combat. Cacophony trying to do something here, but Cacophony is a T1 ground defense, not going to do much. We do see the strongholds, extremely strong transport for some reason that can shoot things, dissuading the T3 away. possibly the only play that High-Gain had here. But now, to the south, the next wave of Razorbacks arrive. 4 Razorbacks on their way down for Emre. And this defense that X Factor has is just not going to hold at all.
Commander destroyed.
Club's commander falls, goes down to the Razorbacks. And all over we see the Elite Legion starting to push forward, starting to just deny the map. And really not a whole lot that Pro can do against this. We have a massive Tigers and Bulls for X Factor, but once again these hills proving highly detrimental to the vehicle's fighting pattern. The strongholds being harried away by the Noctua fighters. I believe it's Noctua. And Razorbacks opening the front door to Club's base. More Razorbacks swarming in as well behind it. Not a lot of units to support them though. Everything is just being put into Razorbacks. But some T2 units coming out. But overall, X Factor Commander trying to sit in the position to de-gun these Razors. Does not have the energy to do so. The Goblins see him. The Razorbacks retreat. Commander gets pinged. Second last Commander left. High-Gain's Commander here. X Factor goes down. Resign comes out. Pro throws in the towel. Completely taken apart in the early game. And could not recover in time.
Battle ended.
So, dominant game out of the Elite Legion, honestly. Pro, definitely one of the favorites, but Elite Legion, no team to scoff at. Well, I guess I should say Pro expected to be a top 4 team. But Elite Legion showing up and just absolutely blistering them on Rosetta. So we move to game 2 in Flats and Forests. Yeah, I decided that it takes too much time to cover the round of 16. Like, it legitimately takes 4+ hours to cover one group. Like, unless there's like a lot of interest in me going back and covering it all, it's just too much for me to do.
Battle started.
Okay, so we have Pro as the red team. High-Gain opting in to be the Cortex commander. We have Hayaji as the Arm commander. Subbing in, I believe, for Club. And we have X Factor as the Legion commander. And against them, for the blue team, we have Tomo Lungma as the Cortex commander. We have Domino as the Armada commander, which means we have Emre as the Legion commander. Massive map, many mexes. So early game is all about taking these mexes. Make sure that these mexes all get taken as efficiently as possible. There are geos on this map, 2 geos to be precise, both on top of the hill. But both geos are located in the center of the map, so it is very unlikely that either team will make a beeline for the geos, even though they are very, very efficient. And as such, don't expect to see much play around the geos. There is a lot of trees on this map, but the trees are very weak for reclaiming, so you generally won't see Resbot plays anymore. Probably a year ago, I guess, the trees were changed to be much less valuable for reclaim. And so we see a bit of an interesting setup in the start here. We have pros starting next to each other, all within one base of each other, all able to provide support. On the other hand, we have the Elite Legion opting for a very large gap here between Emre and Domino, which means that a lot of pressure is going to be put on to Emre and Domino to secure this area against the depredations of X Factor and Hayaji coming in like this. But this also creates a problem for X Factor, where he now has to deal with the pressure of Domino and Emre like this. So X Factor's goal is going to be to secure this area and lock it down, whilst trying to deny this area. Whilst the opposite applies. For Domino and Emre, they want to secure this area, and X Factor and Emre wants to deny this area as much as possible from X Factor. So generally, we will see how the map splits after this. Hayaji, High Gain, Tromo, and Domino will be engaged in a sprawling brawl over this, but the most open areas of the map now are going to be over this hill, but should be well defended by these two players, which means this and this are the most open areas for raiding. All across the map, we do see units sprinting at each other. We have a rover in the back line, has been up to some shenanigans, as we see it is nearly dead. In the center, we have running battles between rovers and rascals, battling for supremacy. The rover slightly superior to the rascal, but rascal slightly cheaper. We do see High Gain being a little bit greedy, goes for the self-D, takes out the con, or takes out the rover for the price of a mech, but not opting to drop any LLTs, and this definitely seems to be a bit of an oversight, I would say. Knowing how much pressure is going to be placed on this map and seeing the current game state, we actually see massive damage here. Domino sneaking in. Was this a self-D? High Gain possibly overreacting, kills. If that was a self-D, definitely contributing to the death of his Solar. If it wasn't a self-D, I'm not sure how that happened then, that the Solar and the mechs both died. But not dropping an LLT here is extremely greedy, and we see units just cropping in, taking out more mexes. No LLTs for Pro. And Delete Legion just on a very forward position here. Laris fighting goblins is definitely one of the new metas we will see. All of the pressure is currently on Pro. Pro not finding any way forward. One unit on the other side of the map, a wheelie on 4 HP, but not being microed, is just currently running around. So Delete Legion doesn't need to drop any defenses, it's just getting away with marauding all over Pro's backline. Pro being a bit greedy, as I said, not dropping any LLTs, is paying the price. One LLT here will help dissuade this push, but all over the front line we kind of see just pressure growing and mounting. This goblin starting to chip away at this con. Laris show up, will help defend the con, but even more goblins on the way. X Factor's units just chasing all over these scouts, and the con goes down to the goblins. X Factor having more than enough units to defend against the goblins, but the rovers and rascals in his back line just being devastating. And we can see Pro is just on the back foot. They see nothing. They barely have units on the other side of the map. X Factor is trying to launch a counterattack, is going to find some success here. But Delete Legion in a far more comfortable position. Much better radar coverage, much better expansion. And once again, we see the expansion just gets caught out. No LLTs up. And 2 mexes go down, delaying once again Pro. 2 LLTs now put up on the front line, but a little bit late. We do see still a running battle going on between X Factor and Emre, and X Factor has managed to sneak in, start causing some damage. More Laris are running forward. Some mexes did go down for Emre, so at least something coming back. X Factor doing a good job here. And finally we see Pro putting the pressure back onto Delete Legion, finding multiple exposed mexes. But Delete Legion on the transition over to light tanks, we see blitzes and incisors coming out. But now on the reverse end, we see the price of not having put up any LLTs. These rovers are just marauding through Delete Legion's setup, Incisor will show up in time. Might save it? It's gonna be close. Ooh, barely goes down. Final laser shot, it dies. But at the same time, on the front line, more pressure is being mounted. And the mech's taking looking a lot healthier for the Elite Legion. X-Factor still finding ways to create pressure, still running through. The Goblins not as capable as the Alaris at raiding and defending. X-Factor definitely putting in a good shift here, but because of that early game, his expansion definitely highly delayed. And overall, we kind of see the map has played out where this area not yet fully taken and secured, and this area not yet fully taken and secured. But overall, X-Factor doing great. But in the center, Domino just finding a gap, pressuring through, crushes into X-Factor's central expansion. IRG not in a position to deal with this adequately. Not enough units either, not really in a great position at all. Highgain trying to secure the area. The LLT is now paying off as he shuts down the leaks coming through, using his commander to try and secure the area more efficiently. Big counterattack to the north. X-Factor finding it in multiple angles. Emre in a bit of trouble actually, as we have about 26 Alaris just converging from different sides on his base, 13 and 13. And Emre doing his best to defend, but Goblin's really not the greatest unit for actually fighting. Great spam unit, but not good for contesting everything. The Alaris just using their speed to bully in and bully out and denying all of these mexes. So overall, I think X-Factor doing a fantastic job here for Pro, but the rest of the map kind of not holding up for Pro as well. Hayaji definitely in a bit of a denial of area situation. Another attack rumbling forward from Domino down the center line. Good get in, get out here. 13 Alaris went in the top side, 10 of them are retreating out. Going to run into defenses here. In the center we have another commitment, but the units collapse. Helios are out. Helios, the big baddie of the fast tanks. But closer to a medium tank, honestly. And Alaris just bully forward, take out the LLT, possibly going to deny more mexes as well. The Blitz getting absolutely melted by these Helios. And the game state overall has actually relatively equalized. We see Domino switched into air, getting out Mosquitoes. We have Hayaji switching into air, getting out Banshees. We do have the Juno plane, the Blindfold. Extremely annoying unit. This thing drops a Juno bomb, so it just denies radars and can kill masses of ticks very easily. But it is going to get found out by the fighters. But it does deny 2 different radars. Emre getting some good D-guns. Forces the Helios back. And now because of X-Factor moving towards the center, the door is open once again, and all of these expanding cons are going to get caught out here. This is something that X-Factor could not let happen. His army is just not in position to deal with the endless swarm of goblins that Emre is sending at him. And the pressure out of mid is just proving somewhat lethal to how Pro is playing this game. We have Pounders and medium tanks coming out here for Highgain, but running into Lashes. Highgain getting some D-guns off. Fighters do engage all over the place. Multiple Mosquitoes going in are getting tagged by the fighters. The fighters show up to help deal with the other fighters. Bit of a massive scuffle going on. Most of the Mosquitoes are dead. They are getting gunned down by the ground units. But army value definitely favoring the Elite Legion, and we can see the map pressure just really being an issue. Emre rumbling through with these goblins, just not stopping for anything. When you have like 50, 60 goblins, you can kind of just walk through defenses. Especially if the army isn't here. And well, X-Factor's army is definitely better. The Helios will clean up the goblins and anything in front of them. Problem is that X Factor keeps having to flex down, and this massive area that he covers is kind of proving to be an inconvenience, as he can't be everywhere that he needs to be. Emery doing some slowing up there. But we can see that X Factor had most of these mexes peeled back, and because all of the cons died, yeah, we can see their corpses in the retreat path. It is an issue, and these Helios are not going to stop the goblins. So somebody's going to need to move up to save Emre. Otherwise, these Helios are just going to keep chewing through his army. But Hygain is in a bit of an issue here. Hayaji is facing serious problems as Domino just keeps flexing up and down, up and down. And we see the army given fully over, and the pressure begins to mount. Helios are moving forward. Goblins moving to support against them, but just not a lot these goblins can do. If we watch how this fight breaks out, the Helios just absolutely melt them, looking like a different tier of unit. In the center, we do see they manage to dissuade this push with Domino's units, but Domino once again routing his entire army up is going to be a bit of a nightmare. Emre getting given all of the blitz, but not really having a way to deal with these Helios. We do see Pro, with this counterattack, finding something. Something is going their way. The Blitz show up to help deal with the next wave of Helios, but these goblins are just absolutely melting. All of the goblins are effectively dead. Emre is now in a bit of trouble with his base, but Helios not that great against structures, might be overextending, might be overcommitting into the defenses here, but so far trading really well. Another LLT goes up, Pharos comes in, and we do see the Helios now trading, possibly an error in commitment here from X Factor, thinking he could take more than he could. Not killing any of the BP so far yet. One con tower goes down, some pressure, some damage found, but now the mosquitoes show up, clean him out. And once again, Emre gets this massive blitz ball, and the pressure is back onto X Factor. In the center of the map, we do see a large counterattack by Hayaji breaking through, taking out multiple cons, taking out multiple mexes, taking out the defenses, but the army is swarming in to defend it. And with this army moving out of position, we see a massive counterattack of about 55 light tanks, mix of blitzes and incisors going forward. There are mines in front of them, but I don't think there's enough mines to stop them. Some EMP mexes going off. The counterattack is slowly running out of steam here. Does look like actually enough blitzes are printed just in time to deny this. Maybe the incisors are going to be able to punch through. Definitely going to take out this. Ooh, so much build power starts falling. As the build power goes, the defenses are just going to keep on weakening.
Destroyed.
And behind us, didn't even see Hygain's commander goes down, as all across the south, Pro are in disarray. Their front line buckling under the pressure, just incapable of keeping up with the central play. Emre once again being forced to retreat, being pushed back hard by these Helios, but not enough, just not enough, and the south is in shambles. Hygain's base is under pressure. Currently, the commander is walking towards them. The Shuriken's doing a good job of helping to defend, but X Factor had to give such a large group of his army away once again to help hold the south that it is not looking good for Pro. Economically, the stats are not yet so bad that things are going to break, but
Resumed.
I think with the death of Hygain's base shortly, there just isn't going to be a whole lot left for Pro, as they cannot find a breakthrough anywhere else on the map. Their fighters commit forward to deny the mosquitoes on X Factor's army, but it's too little too late. X Factor's been forced to retreat. Hygain's base is in shambles. Hayaji's base is also wrecked. And all of these mexes are denied, and behind us we see T2 is now out for Domino. Army value heavily in Delete Legion's favor. And unless something changes very shortly, all of this reclaim is going to head over as well. Maybe Chomo's come a little bit overcommitted here as all the reinforcements begin arriving. Helios having a longer range than commanders gives them the ability to actually just snipe down the commander. But Highgain's base is effectively deleted from the map.
Commander destroyed.
We do see a bit of an overextension actually. Thought the commander could stay there, but could not. But unfortunately behind this, it just doesn't matter, as the T2 transition is in full swing. There are 8 T2 cons on this map for some unknown reason. That is an obscene amount of T2 cons. But even with all of this investment into changing and taking up by Delete Legion, they are still enjoying a 50% army value advantage, which means that Pro cannot even find a clear counterattack. Okay, and we do see Pro X Factor has managed to get his own T2 up and out. He's up to 6 cons actually, so I guess both sides are just hard greeting. But the area is in shambles. The center shambles for Pro. And Emre is just printing out more and more units. So, yeah. We do see Resbots coming out, trying to contest this area. Medium tanks now out for Delete Legion. Resbots trying to print as many units as possible. Unfortunately, only resing Scouts so far. Definitely not what you want to be resing if you can choose. Needs to be resing the space, needs to be resing the medium tanks and vehicles here. But 2 fusion reactors, 3rd fusion reactor up for Delete Legion. 1st fusion reactor only going up now for Pro. We see a massive difference in metal per second, energy per second, a 40,000 metal produced lead almost. Only 200,000 energy produced so far difference. So not completely out of reach, but it's difficult to see how Pro can take this game back into their hands. It's very much on Delete Legion to make a mistake and Pro to then capitalize on it. We have our 4th fusion as well as our 5th fusion going up. The tank balls are trading back and forth, the hill providing some form of semblance of protection for the lighter tanks against the medium tanks here. But at some point this fight is going to start going poorly. Resbots have arrived, are going to start providing a lot more units though for Pro, but army value is still sitting at a 50% difference here. And it is difficult to see. We do actually have Tritons as the unit of choice. This was definitely the old school decision in the ARM or the Legion Vehicle Lab. Long range, high damage unit. Not that tanky for a T2 tank, but overall interesting. The convertible tank boat. We will see if this can find its value back and break through the defenses that Emre has set up. But indeed, on the other side, we have a massive bombing run prepped and loaded and heading in. 21 bombers, 50 fighters. ISG does have some fighters, it has some ground AA. But these are beelining towards the base. X Factor having 34 fighters, not able to match this. Bombers go in, aimed at the build power, aimed at the energy. A lot of AA going up in this time, but the bombing run hits. And now the bombers going to be heading over to X Factor's base. The fighters are all dead, more fighters coming out for X Factor, but the fusion is the target. The fusion 0% goes down to the last bomber. Bit of a tragedy there for Pro, But one feels like that's just the final nail in the coffin rather than the first nail. And we have a Tech 3 switch, S-tier unit Marauders coming out to put the finale on this game. Triton so far not yet having moved forward. We will not get to see them yet do anything. The Resbot's doing a good job of getting everything up and going. Another fusion coming out, but it really does feel like it's too little too late. The match in this game, the score is 1-0 towards the Elite Legion. Come on, we just want to see the Tritons. Use the Tritons. Be proactive before the T3 shows itself. The T3 is about to show itself. T3 detected. Rings out over the pro battle lines. Unable to spend all of their metal. Currently Hayaji and High Gain sitting on about 5,000 metal. The Triton's collapsing down. Resbot's coming out to get this fusion reactor, but the Marauders kind of making a breakthrough, are going to run into some mines. Partially get dissuaded back. Actually turn around. Will get caught out by this force. To the south, we still see this grinding tank fight has just been going on for about 5 minutes at this point. So, yeah, but it does appear that Pro has lost the fight. It is no longer something that they can hold the line for. Delete Legion bullying forward to the south. North fully stabilized on equivalent terms, but economically this game is just over. We're approaching 100,000 metal produced difference. Over 1 million energy produced difference. And army value is up to 130%. High Gain desperately trying to get up Twin Guards, desperately trying to set up for a last stand on his base again. Round 2. Boogaloo coming out for him, but there just isn't a whole lot left. The Tritons, we see firing some shots at the Marauders, but really the game ends when the Elite Legion choose to commit any of their real eco power in here. So High Gain doing a good job holding, is setting up to allow the res units to revive as much of this field as possible, but behind this we do see that the Elite Legion has also got their own res units, but they're eating all the wrecks, printing out even better, more useful units in the form of the Razorback. We have more fusions coming up. We have the anti-nuke set up. X-Factor trying to catch up, trying to get himself and his team into a position, looking to spam out javelins, which look to be an extremely oppressive unit in the early game. But Razorbacks are heading to the south. Here's that some of the radar, some of the bolt power collapsed here. And now that the Razorbacks are here, this defensive line is definitely no longer feasible. With the medium tanks, with the Razorback damage per second crushing forward, it is only a matter of time before Pro folds down here. Emre launching a scouting run of fighters over the north, trying to figure out what they can do. Good defensive line set up, definitely not something you want to attack willy-nilly, but the south is just fully broken. P2 units trying to get printed out, but Razorbacks are on top of the lab. The medium tanks have broken the line. The base fully dead, pretty much. And with it, any hope of Pro turning this game around. As the T3 now begins to progress towards the center again, more Razorbacks coming out. We do see Pro has their own T3 scaling up, trying to catch up, but just not enough. Not with a full collapse going on. Not with the Marauder sitting in the back line, chipping away at the reactor. Hayashi not able to even really respond to this in time. Loses his fusion. And the swarm changes its target. The base is gone. Trying to get the reclaim here, but even more res bots for Delete Legion. Front line just collapsing. The Tritons do show up, start trying to put in some work, but they are just outnumbered by T3. The Javelins make their way down, the mini Razorback as they've been called. But the problem for these mini Razorbacks is they have to deal with real Razorbacks. Valiant defensive effort coming out of Hayashi. His commander is going to get some hot D-guns. 2 Razorbacks go down, actually. Multiple medium tanks fall, but the commander is the target. Not going down yet. Ooh, good play by Hayashi, but runs out of energy right at the end. Does not get it. And the Javelins commit forward. The Javelins shoot. But the Razorbacks are there. And we have a massive Phoenix bombing run coming to end this game. Was it 18 Phoenixes? 14 Phoenixes. And we are about to see X Factor's base just get absolutely deleted by these Phoenixes. All of the fusions go down pretty much. All of this bolt power cluster falls. More Phoenixes show up. Resign vote comes out. GG's come out. And we see Delete Legion take out Pro in the round of 8, 2-0. In very dominant games as well. Pro really could not
Battle
find their
ended.
foot into these games and just suffered for it pretty much the entire match against the Elite Legion, who definitely showed up and proved extremely strong in their prep. So next, we will have TM versus MADO. The strongest team versus the Dark Horses who snuck their way in to the round of 8. And we will see what they can do. And then after that, we will have APB versus APM. Man, there were 3 AP teams in this final. I don't know which APM is which though, but we had the other APM. This is APM 1v1 players, and this is AP Blodir. With Meow subbing in now. But okay, I am going to quickly grab something to drink, and then I will continue on with the matches. But kind of surprising. Like, I think I expected BM to 2-0 their group. To 2-0 against the APM team, but I thought Pro would be much more fighty. They did not hold up well on these macro maps. But tickle my throat. Pain. Continue on. Okay, so we have Tiny Muppets versus MADO. I don't remember what TM I put their name as. I do enjoy calling them Tiny Muppets.
Welcome, Commander.
You know what? I didn't look. I will actually be so mad if my microphone audio changed. That's good. Okay. Ooh, so we have Moonshine Run, game 1.
Battle started.
TM versus MADO. Blue team, being TM, we have Yanami, or Chisato, playing as the Legion Commander, starting in the 2-mech spawn. We have Autopilot, starting as the Arm Commander in the central 4-mech spawn. To the south, we have Sashkorin as the Cortex Commander on the other 4-mech spawn. And against them, for the red team, we have Dr. Sen playing as Arm on the 4-mechs. We have Busy Jack in the center with Legion, and to the south, we have Shirakawa with the Cortex Commander. So this is a pretty interesting map. There are no geos and there is no reclaim. Relatively flat map, but there are actually a lot of hills, somewhat hilly pieces of terrain, as well as some impassable rock wall cliffs. So you can see a lot of vehicles, you can see a lot of bot gameplay, but generally in smaller teams we see vehicles as the main option. There are a large number of mechs to grab all over the map, with most of the mechs being 1.5s, but every area having a 3.3 mechs of high value. So we do see both players opting to do the walking start to go grab the larger mechs. Sato going to opt for single mechs into the larger one, while Shirakawa opts for just going straight towards the larger mechs. Busy Jack, being the center, has the job of taking as many of the mechs as possible, whilst being defended and guarded somewhat by the players around him. But TM, very quickly crossing the map, has already got their rovers showing up into the bases of MADO. MADO as their first units arriving at the top of TM's base. In the early game, we are going to be looking for any damage. We do see Sashkorin sneaking in, being extremely annoying. There is an LLT to defend this. No way you don't LT that. Do not. Wow, that is a bold strategy, Cotton. Takes out the rover at the price of the solar and shutting down the other 2 solars with the self-D. Nearly loses the second solar as well. And that was just before reinforcements arrived. I did not expect the self-D. Self-D mexes. Solars is a bold strategy. But we do see TM doing a great job just expanding calmly behind everything, denying all of the raids. There's currently 1 unit on their side of the map from the enemy team. Whilst for MADO, that situation has suddenly changed as there are multiple streams of units trying to break into the base. And they are just being pressured back a little bit. All 3 commanders for MADO are on the path forward, actually. So Shirakawa is kind of where his base is. Whilst Autopilot and Sash have not even left their base yet. Sash finally moving towards, expanding towards his larger cluster. Dr. Sen pathing slowly. I do think this is possibly a bit of a overextension, and somehow missing this Mex here is going to cost them metal eventually. But TM just on top of being annoying, showing up everywhere, being in every expansion, behind every door that MADO looks, there is another TM rover Another TM Rascal. And once again, we see Rascal is in range of the LLT, but it's unable to shoot as it's hiding in the shadow of the mechs. And that escapes. It gets out. MADO doing a good job spending their resources. But we are 4.5 minutes into this game, and there is a 3,500 metal advantage. Sorry. 2,500 metal advantage in TM's favor, which is kind of absurd, frankly. Backline, we see these Rovers and Rascals still finding more damage, denying them more mexes, picking away at the cons. And it is just so unbearable for poor MADO. Good little bit of counter raid here. Does sneak in, takes out multiple mexes of autopilot. Grunts getting the job done, pushing forward. They are going to get cut down by the Blitz. Barely saving this mex. Dr. Sen now moving to secure his large mex cluster. But overall, the start going about as well as TM could want. Taking no major damage, no cons lost. Fully denying the southern expansion stall. Shirakawa just unable to find his footing here. More Rascal sneaking in. Salty takes out the Rascal but denies the mechs. Another Rascal sneaking out from Sashkorin. Going to be looking to cause some damage. And Chisato Yanami on top of his defenses here. Could be in a bit of danger. We do see Dr. Sen seeing an opportunity, opting to move forward. The con is exposed. The units are not well positioned. The con being used as a lure, somewhat. The con does end up going down, and Chisato not actually taking out any blitzes. Bit of an error on his part here. But we actually see Decurions coming out. Now these are the very heavy T1 tank for Legion, which has not seen a lot of play this tournament, honestly, and it's kind of just because they're a little bit too heavy and a little bit too expensive. But too slow for how fast the team games work. But they've been definitely a bit of a menace in the larger team lobbies. And once these things start leveling up and getting some EXP in, they will just absolutely gut the units. But we can already see kind of the issue here. The Helios are just doing more than the Decurion is, because the Decurion takes forever to catch up to the Blitzers. This does mean that Chisato is going to be looking to pressure forward. Yanami is going to be looking to pressure forward. And Dr. Sen is going to have to make a plan on how to deal with these units. Autopilot is looking to transition to T2. He set up his BP. He's got the eco for it. And he's realized the map state is stable enough, the army value good enough, that they are capable of going in. Shirakawa asking Busy Jack to commit forward onto Sashkorin's units. We have the attack rumbling forward here. Big engage happens to the south. The incisors putting up a great fight. These are Grunts and Alaris, not heavy enough to really engage incisors. And overall, Sashkorin kind of deflects this attack without an issue. And to the north, we see the Decurions and the Helios just being kind of oppressive against Dr. Sen, whose commander is now getting engaged on. Chisato microing back in time. Dr. Sen's commander down to about 50% HP. And now we see the commander running forward. The lab is in danger. Units are leaking in from different angles. The commander gets a D-gun on the Helios. Dr. Sen moves forward, is going to get a D-gun on this Decurion. Decurion goes down. But his lab is gone, which means resistance is now futile. To the south, we see the incisors breaking through Shirakawa's base in a little bit of shambles. And, oh, these are actually blitzers. Must have been given by autopilot. But blitzers, even faster than incisors, get through. To the north, Yanami takes out the rest of Dr. Sen's army. Dr. Sen's commander is about to be in danger. The Dokurian pretty good at killing him. Doesn't commit forward. Chisato doesn't commit forward either, so neither side going to lose anything. We have an air lab switch from Busy Jack, but behind all of this, the fusion is up, the mexes are going up, TM is about to just start blooming their macro, but they can also smell blood is in the water, as only 4 T2 cons are out, and now bulls are being printed. Dr. Sen's commander is trying to get away from here. Yanami eating everything. Mex is dying everywhere. Shirakawa committing forward is going to get the trade onto Sashkorin's com if that's what he's going for. But his army, unfortunately, is being melted. So Sashkorin takes the advantage in this area. There's actually an interesting window here. We could see a snipe go out. Autopilot's commander is isolated, being hunted by mosquitoes. If there were more mosquitoes, this could be dangerous. TM actually down to their final commander. We have a flak beelining over. Autopilot not having the energy to fully cloak. But the mosquitoes not having adequate line of sight. Autopilot getting so lucky with these scatters, he might need to just stand still. The flak has arrived. Autopilot stops moving down to 500 HP. The flak is firing. Oh my word. Nearly out of nowhere, MADO almost takes down TM in game 1. That would have been the biggest upset of the tournament. By far. But Autopilot getting some lucky scatters with those mosquitoes, not as accurate as Banshees. Rushes out the flak, gets away on 600 HP, and behind that, unfortunately, the game is now over for MADO. They are just collapsing on all fronts. The magic is not going to go on much longer. That was a nice attempt. Very, very close to punishing TM for a bit of hubris there. But overall, a very, very dominant win from TM. But man, if MADO had done that a little bit faster and a little bit cleaner, I might be telling you about the great comeback in this game, but TM instead just runs over it, rolls over, and survives a bit of a scare at the end, nearly going down, nearly losing all of their commanders. That would have been really good. I feel very sad for MADO there, not finding that snipe. So we move to game 2 on Proving Ground between TM and MADO. Oh man, I wish they'd pulled off that snipe. That would have been so good.
Welcome, Commander. Battle started.
Okay, so for game 2 between TM and MADO, we have, for the blue team, TM Yanami playing as Legion. We have Autopilot playing as Armada, which means we have Sashkorin playing as Cortex. And against them, for the red team, we have MADO as the Arm Commander. We have Busy Jack as the Legion Commander. And we have Shirakawa as the Cortex commander. So Proving Grounds is a relatively new map to Bar, a very new map by all standards, which not fully explored yet, not fully discovered, has some very nasty little cheeses because of the space behind it and to the sides. We have a variety of mexes. Mexes range from 2.2 to 3.0. Most of the 3.0 mexes being located near the center of the map. We also have islands to the side that require air transports to reach, as well as 3 geos in a line between the pyramids. The geos are relatively far forward, but if you can get in a setup, you could put up like a Cerberus in the center and create quite a strong point of power, so to say, on the map to play around. To the north, there's a lot of points of ingress for both teams. There's a main central area, and then, depending on which side you are on, there's either the singular point or the multiple chokes that you have to worry about for entry into your base. This applies to both teams as the map is mirrored. So, once again, early game is going to be the teams focusing on taking their mexes as quickly as possible, making sure they have as much metal as possible to run the game, and going from there. We see a lot of cons expanding out of autopilot. Anami, currently just printing units, is getting his first con out. Sashkarin, only printing units, has no con at the moment, but will eventually get a con. And then once TM has secured their area, they will move over and start trying to deny MADO's expansion. We do see MADO opting for a much more aggressive opening. Less cons are out and about expanding. Autopilot, I think, going up to 4 or 5 cons, if not more. As well as Yanami now grabbing more cons. And we do actually see a good attack here by Ezzy, finding some holes, but unfortunately going down to the Pharos and getting deflected by the Alaris and Rovers. Or Rascals, no Rovers, out of this. And in the back line, we have Sashkarin causing a bit of chaos, taking out the mechs, keeping his units alive, being an absolute menace. And so far, the game currently going exactly how TM wants it to go. All of their mexes being taken. But we do see a nice catch here, actually. The wheelies are finding out Autopilot's con. Con is going to go down. Pretty good catch there by Busy Jack. Will end up losing all of his wheelies for that though, but denies this first radar. But Autopilot, having so many cons, has already got another con building another radar. The raids are still going through, still harassing the back line of MADO. And we're 4 minutes in and we are seeing a about 1.5k metal produced advantage. Alaris are getting mugged a bit by the Rovers. That is based in a little bit of a pickle, yeah. But it does look like he's got enough Alaris that he's going to be able to push everything back. Fourth will get collapsed on. Autopilot showing up as well. More Alaris showing up. The high alpha damage helping them to trade out relatively quickly. He's calm, locking down some of the area. But we see behind all of this, TM just being so irritating, picking and poking and prodding at every little area they can find. Realizes that LLT is not finished yet, go back in, commit, kill the LLT before it's built. Force more APM, start focusing down the cons. We see more units breaking into the base. MADO's commander is there as he's showing up in time, but some units sneak past. They've cleaned the scouts out, but now the con moving away, not taking these mexes. And for TM, every mex is secure. Every unit the enemy has is being dealt with. And as long as they can deal with these wheelies, they are clean. There are no issues in TM side of the map. And we still see more and more units pestering, bothering MADO, just picking away at their mexes, leaking through, using their alpha damage. More mexes go down, another mex goes down, mex going to be denied here. TM just being so bothersome. And it's just all ogre. I didn't curse BM, I just overslept, you know. I'm sorry that I wasn't there. I tried to coach Akuma this morning, it's why I didn't sleep. I was there showing the young man the old ways of winning games, but unfortunately, didn't quite pull it out. Overall though, TM coming out extremely happy. Almost all of MADO's army is stuck in their own starting position. Sash currently finding another exploited area to break through. Autopilot knocking the front door in repeatedly. And TM is just scaling so comfortably behind this. Perhaps Ezzy can find a way past Chisato's comm, but gets the D-gun out. Dodges the D-gun very nicely. But Sash breaks through into the back line once again. We're probably soon going to see a T2 transition coming out as we see Yanami has gone advanced solars. The Alaris are just being printed on repeat. Lizzie Jack's Alaris get jumped on by the blitzers, get taken down mostly. Shirakawa doing a good job trying to close the door, but Sash knows that he's got the advantage. Is just going to pressure forward. Does find a little breakthrough here. Takes out a max, but unfortunately gets dealt with really quickly. Sash might be looking for a comm trade here, as he can see that all of Shirakawa's units are just chasing everything that he's got through. But no, doesn't chase further, just secures the max, locks the area down. Lizzie Jack doing a good job fighting. Ezzy knocking Chisato back a little bit, but to the south, the mexes are in shambles. Shurikens have had to come out. We have the T2 transition all the way out already. 4 T2 cons already on the menu. Probably going to see... Oh, actually no, stops at 3 for now. Getting the mexes upgraded. Geo has been secured. Busy Jack does secure the middle of the map though. Autopilot not willing to invest in doing more, but Shirakawa losing so many of his mexes. Half of his mexes are dead. This mech's not taken yet. We do actually see a little bit of an aggressive move here by Ezzy, trying to use beamers to start pushing back the defensive line, but it does look like Yanami is on top of it, commits forward, denies the beamer, goes forward into the LLTs. Actually mostly gets shut down though. The LLT's doing an extremely good job. And this gives MADO perhaps a window of opportunity. Cacophony is up to deny any push in this area. But a chance for Ezzy to push through and break the northern expansion. We do have masses of shurikens coming out. And no T2 yet for MADO. TM currently printing their eco up to 62 cons. Fusion is up, another fusion going up, medium tanks being printed. And unless MADO do something very soon to change this game state, they have about 2 minutes before the printer turns on. And pressure is just going to mount. Oh no, the shurikens group up, get absolutely melted by this nettle. LLTs and nettles combining to take out multiple things. Ezzy sees the opportunity finally to go through to the north. Does push through, is going to find the hole. Will take out a number of mexes for Chisato. Chisato is switching back into a lab, an air lab, going for mosquitoes to help deal with this breakthrough. Dropping some LLTs, dropping some Pharos. Interestingly, opting for an overcharged mex here. I feel like it's unnecessary given the fact that T2 is on the way, but I trust his economic instincts more than my own. I'm not sure if that was a plan or a misclick or what it was, but overall the leak not finding as much damage as MADO would have wanted. TM up to their third fusion reactor. MADO just starting their T2 lab is now in a catastrophic hole of economic deficit. Metal produced is... I don't want to say it's doubled, but it's getting kind of to the point where it might as well be doubled. Energy also getting along there. We're 11 minutes into this game and TM's macro flexing is just absurd. Shuri's commit in, try to break this defensive line, but Busy Jack commits in at the worst possible moment. The Shuris are all dead, all the units fall. And this is just 2,000 more metal for TM to print even more eco and units with. Casado switches back into ground units, gets some Decurions out and about. We do see the Air Force for Busy Jack does crush through Chisado's mosquitoes, but at the same time, the macro situation is getting worse. T2 is now out. We do see cons coming out for MADO, but they are so much further behind in their transition. TM is almost done with upgrading all of their main mechs clusters. The AGO is up. The fusions are up. More cons are being built. I don't even know what they need more cons for. How many cons do you have at T2? 8 T2 cons are out and about on this map. That is a frankly absurd number. TM can see that they are just so far ahead, it's wild. And once again, Sash finds a breakthrough, gets through here. Bulls show up, start breaking Shirakawa's front lines. The mechs is falling to the incisors. And the hole just keeps getting bigger and bigger. TM not committing to any major play. We do see a T2 air lab. Possibly the only chance MADO had was going for a massive bombing run, but even that probably is not going to save them. Only a 53,000 metal produced difference at the moment and a 600,000 energy produced lead. Shirakawa's position collapsing under the Bulls' pressure. The Bulls kill the commander, take out the rest of the Lashers. Sashkarins come in position to just eat everything. Army value approaching 100% advantage for TM. Ezzy finding some forward pressure here. Could look to deny these mexes with his commander. But Chisato is sitting in a bit of an obnoxious strong point. Threatening to both go any direction he chooses here, including towards a pretty exposed AGO. In the center, we have Autopilot peeling open the defenses. To the south, Sashkarin said, enough is enough. I am just going to break the entire front line. Banishers are on their way, sorry, Medusas are on their way to deal with this, but the damage is done as another leak comes through. Busy Jack's commander kind of getting surrounded by medium tanks, being supported by cacophonies, doing a good job looking intimidating. Chisato pulls the trigger, collapses up, cuts off Ezzy's commander. Might be the play that they go for, is to just get rid of the commanders. Don't bother killing the rest of MADO. As Busy Jack is now being taken down by the roughneck gunships.
Commander destroyed.
Commander falls, fighters come in. Ezzy's commander is in a bit of a pickle. His units rush to support him. Chisato sees the blip on the map, realizes, that is the commander. Gunships are on their way to the center still. TM having so many options to win, as South is kind of just folding. TM now winning the air war as the T2 fighters arrive. Switching to a T3 lab as well, going for the S-tier Marauders. AGO blows up, gets taken out. Ezzy's commander living the life, but for how long will he be able to live in these graveyard of corpses here that should be being eaten and tried to be spent on his team? But metal produced has now passed 100% advantage. More than double the enemy's team metal produced is a frankly absurd stat to see in a game. Energy produced up to 85, 86%, going to possibly break 90. The gunships commit in are not going to be hunting Ezzy's commander. Instead, they are hunting down Chirikawa's base. The south is in shambles. It is fully collapsing. TM just peeling everything apart, killing everything there is. Wisely realizing that is actually an absurd amount of air defense up here. A chainsaw, multiple thistles, a ferret, I believe, as well. Yeah. And just attacking the weaker point, the south. Gladiators show up, are making an attempt to push back this army, but the gunships are running wild. The Roughnecks are running roughshod all over MADO's base. Marauders are about to arrive at the front line. The scaling continues. Energy now passing double the enemy team. And this is possibly the most vicious game state we have seen in any tournament. Possibly ever. For a round of 8. Just a brutal macro display from TM. After nearly fumbling game 1. Nearly MADO pulls the rabbit out of the hat in game 1. Barely fails. 600 HP, keeps Autopilot alive against the Mosquito Snipe. Into this game 2, where TM just make a statement and absolutely shut out MADO from the game. I'm not going to lie, I thought Burger Moggers, you could have done it, but after that Carrot Mountain game, there was hope. But boy oh boy did things go disastrously wrong in the Barrier Reef one. So that takes us to our final match of APB versus APM. The sister teams facing each other for the glory of the semifinals. Yeah, it's probably difficult to find scrims because you need APM. Like, you need TM to want to scrim you, but TM just scrims APM. Like, you somehow need to break into that. And there's not a lot of, like, teams.
Welcome, Commander.
Like honestly, you might just want to do scrims against open teams. Where you just, like, get Sheep, myself, that set of group. Like, that set of players that aren't in the tournament. And just try to practice mechanics, not builds, but mechanics against them, because that definitely happened in the past. But okay, we hop into game 1 of APB versus APM. So, APB spawning in as the blue team. Blue commander, we have Blodir, playing as Legion. We have Raxel playing as Armada. And we have Meow Cat, right Meow, as the Cortex commander. For the red team, we have APM Mirrored playing as the Armada commander in the center. We have Zeeberg playing as the Legion commander in the south. And to the north, we have C3BO playing as the Cortex commander. So we previously mentioned that this map has a fair bit of elevation change, but is also mostly flat. But there are hills and that will mess up with vehicle pathing, as well as these outcrops that you cannot pass on. There are a lot of mexes on this map, but most of the mexes are 1.5 mexes. There are 4 3.3 mexes, as far as I remember, on this map. Don't think there's any in the middle in each of these 4 clusters here. So early game, we are going to see both teams focusing on taking the mexes in their starting locations, securing their area, and sending out light scouts and raiders to harass and deal as much economic damage and tax APM as possible, before eventually we see the team start fighting over the central mexes and jockeying for position. Overall, we actually see a pretty light expand here out of Blodir. Only 3 cons coming out before printing a mass of wheelies. Possibly an interpretation of the fact that wheelies are relatively the worst light scout unit, so he needs more of them. Can't commit as deeply, but to be fair, on the other side, Mirrored only opting for 2 cons. C3BO having to make his own cons. Opting for bots, though, is an interesting choice. Definitely could be difficult for him to find the pressure he needs. Raxel also having 2 cons out, so 5 cons expanding currently for APB. Meow, not having his own lab yet, is securing these mexes before switching into a bot lab of his own. Zeeberg also opting for a bot lab, but the 3 lab start is definitely possibly a bit overly ambitious here from APM. Not quite having the metal they need, and we see APB kind of running away with the stats already of the faster expansion and the more mexes that they can grab. Good defensive job though from both teams, neither side letting anything through really. APB definitely more focused on their defense than they are on the attack. Probably because of the wheelies being their main scout unit, though we do see some rovers have now joined in the fun. But the LLT set up in position takes out all of the units. 1 scout so far getting through. Is not down yet, but looks like it's going to be picked off by the wheelies. Really good defense. And now we do see the counter harass beginning. Good defensive play so far though by APM, not losing anything. Mass of rovers and wheelies getting pinged out by Mirrored, not liking what he sees. Goblins are showing up to deflect them away. 1 wheelie in the back line is going to get picked off. To the north, we see an engage here. Grunts forcing blitzes. Very good defensive play again by Raxel. Not letting these grunts find any timing to break through and cause chaos. Both teams playing with not a lot of information. Units giving all the information, so we see Raxel not really seeing anything, but Blodir and Meow having a lot of information just because their units are on the map. Whilst on the other hand, we see for APM, they have even less information. They see units sneaking through into their back line, they see these units running through. Really good self-D takes out a lot of the rovers, but there's not a whole lot of information for APM to work with at this moment in time. Overall, game state relatively even though, nothing too far in it. This little rover at the back here being an absolute menace. Annoying Meow, possibly even going to be able to take out this con. There are no units in range to move to and assist it. Meow being a little bit slow on his expansion, not seeing this as well, is definitely going to be pricey. If they see it and micro it. But so far, both teams doing a good job. Honestly, this is the most annoying thing we're seeing so far. Meow opting to try and eat it at this stage. If Zeeberg notices, Zeeberg sees it, Zeeberg retreats, you are very much capable of killing a con, even if it's trying to eat you. You just have to micro. And so we see Zeeberg takes down the con, gets the first real major catch here. Meow not doing a great job covering all of these bases. Blodir sending down some Alaris. There's giant open expanse here, just letting units run through into the back line. At the same time, we have a large blob of wheelies here by Meow. Just currently caught AFK because he's busy looking at his back line, trying to deal with these issues. But it opens the door for Raxel to push through, create some pressure with these blitzes, as now Raxel has to deal with his own run-in. Meow starting to shut the door. is going to begin defending these expansions a little bit more. Overall, still very even. Neither team finding anything crazy. The biggest advantage is this army value advantage, which is so heavily in APB's favor. And we see such a major commitment here from Zeeberg, not going to get these 4 rovers. And the Alaris are just breaking through. Multiple mexes go down. Blitzers break through, going to probably take out a few more mexes if they microed. More mexes going down, cons going down. All over the map, we do see that APB is kind of finding pressure, finding ways to get things done. And they are losing army value, but still 100% army value advantage is big. And now Murad overextends these cons, gets caught out by these Alaris, gets caught out by these rovers. These are 2 cons that he really cannot afford to be losing. We see Meow is now pressurizing hard into Zeeberg as well. Cons go down. Bit of an overextension, units die here, but overall, you're fine with it. Blodir realizes the Alaris can break through, takes out the LLT, takes out the mechs. And APM was doing a great job keeping on top of everything coming their way, but did not keep up in army value, and APB just kind of exploits all of the openings. Also, APB is not the APM B team, it means AP Blodir team, because APM and Blodir are working together. That's what we know. This isn't like APM main team versus APM secondary team. This is, I don't know. Maybe it is main team versus secondary team, but not APB. So, yeah. But overall, I think APB very happy with their game state. And now with this massive run-in by Raxel, just going to take out multiple solars, multiple mechs falling. If he gets into the LLT's Twin Guards, not enough blitzers quite to commit through, but he gets more damage done. Blodir just picking at the front line with these Alaris, using their speed and Alpha Strike to get kills. Zeeberg finding a bit of a counterattack here. Meow busy taking back his mexes, but yeah, it is kind of getting, the game state is just kind of getting a bit worse constantly. But currently still only T1 for everyone. Nobody's really found any major area to exploit. We do see actually this goblin being a actual goblin harassing poor Meow's con. But Meow finding a counterattack is going to break through. These grunts and incisors will break this line, will take out this Mex cluster. C3BO needs to try to secure this area, lock it back up, but Blodir is knocking on the door in multiple places. Good catch here by this goblin from Zeeberg. Takes out the con, takes out more mexes. Center, we do see the Helios have now arrived. Blodir starts cleaning up in this area. Army value still 100% in favor. And the Helios are just going to trade more and more efficiently as their numbers go up. Blodir not committing his army in together though, is giving a pretty decent trade here to C3BO with the Blitzers and the Pounder. But now the army's grouped up, and now we're going to just see them melt through these Blitzers. We have some Shurikens come out. We have the T2 lab switch also for Blodir. T2 lab is being built for Murad, but it is a little bit further behind. And the front door is kind of just being smashed open here. Blodir is also getting all of the metal reclaimed, so metal produced is now approaching 10,000 advantage, which doesn't sound like that much, but you can really feel it, especially with the army advantage being nearly 6,000 in favor of APB. Blodir currently just holding his ground here, could push forward, but it's a bit dangerous with the Pounders here. But all of the reclaim has gone over. We see Raxel denying the expansion, stopping these units moving forward. Is going to start trying to push forward even more. Bit of a counter-attack. I don't think this will work. The Pounders lag too far behind and allow the Helios to get good trades. Shuriken's also coming in. This is going to be really bad for C-3PO. Gladiator's also coming out for Blodir. Means that the pressure is about to get turned up even more. The Pounders get caught out. Pounders get shurikened. The light units swarm forward. Shurikens go in, start stunning everything up. Resign vote comes out from Murad. And APM throws in the towel as their north is in shambles. They're behind economically and it's just a rough game state.
Battle ended.
And to be fair, APB after the showing in the semis is going to have to play a whole lot better if they want to take TM into the grand finals. But hey, we don't know if that's happening yet. We haven't seen the end of this match. So we move to game 2 of APB versus APM on the Barrier Reef.
Welcome, Commander. Battle started.
So we hop into the game. We have APB as the blue team, opting for a bit of an unusual spawn compared to what we've seen generally. We have Blodir going for the Legion Commander. We have Meow, Catch Right Meow, as the Cortex Commander. We have Raxel spawning in as the Arm Commander. Against them, for APM, we have Murad in the red Armada Commander. C-3PO as the Cortex Commander and Zeeberg as the Legion Commander. Also going for a very unusual build. Generally, we do see this blank lab opening into cons, printing out units and contesting the area. You see a delayed lab here out of Zeeberg. And we actually see APM really not spending their metal, but opting for now a double lab instead. Now opting for the ground lab. Definitely an interesting opening, because normally you see teams start up here for this title, but instead the battery opts to start in the sea, which makes it more vulnerable to naval run-bys. But there definitely must be a theory there. Some plan is in the works as to why Meow is spawning here instead of here. We see APM going for a much more standard play with how they've done it. But currently the double lab slowing, not as fast as the single lab to get cons out, to get units out, but will in a few minutes be able to take up map position. See Raxel actually going onto the land to take some more of the mexes. 2 cons out into eating the lab. Okay, so this is not going to at all switch into air. This is just moving both commanders down to boost the lab. I see. Okay. So is this single lab? This must be single lab gaming out of APB. They're not going to be looking at getting a second lab anytime soon. Maybe once Raxel secures this? We now have the triple lab out from APM. Hippocampus engaging the supporters. Hippocampus generally, I think, better than a supporter. I'm not 100% sure. Other Hippocampus shows up. Salt D comes out. Very fortunate to not lose that. More Hippocampus showing up to create some pressure on the map. Axel currently not queuing up a lab. Meow donating his commander over to Blodir, doubling up on the bolt power of this lab, allowing them to really print out units. And this is how they will keep up with the double lab production. Meow catches out this con expanding. This is very bad for APM. They can't really afford to lose any tempo at the moment. but the con goes down. Big catch for APB. APM is trying to expand, but I don't think APM's realized the game state that they're in, not aware of how much pressure is coming their way off the singular lab. Raxel is now opting to go for his own naval lab, expanding behind it, scaling up as they grab more mexes. You do have the Orca out, the Riptide out, so the Hippocampus are going to go down, but Meow grabs another con. Big catch there as well, really punishing APM. And we see more units just slinking around in the twilight. APM really not believing in radars here. C3PO just definitely needs a radar. A radar on the land would help a lot. But currently, he just sees nothing, and this means that Meow just keeps on slinking past in the darkness of the radar lack, and Zal would be screaming about radars at this moment in time. Riptide is going to get on top of these Hippocampus, absolutely shreds them. C3PO walks forward, is moving to contest more mexes, but now at the same time we see off this pressure, Zeeberg's base is in trouble, not having a lot of production. Raxel now beginning his unit production as well. Zeeberg moving across the map. Murad has moved fully into battery gaming, but possibly needs to be looking at doing something else, as energy does not seem to be the biggest concern for APM, but rather just unit production. C3PO getting a little bit caught out here, but dissuades these Hippocampus away. This Riptide shredding the remaining Hippocampus down here. C3PO doing a good job on the south side, clearing out the area. Opening up an opportunity for a counterattack now. As we see the Argonaut switch coming out from APB. Apparently very strong, very oppressive if they have room to kite. Surprisingly tanky unit in all fairness. Overall, game state looking relatively even, but the central pressure here is not really being matched, and APM kinda just struggling to match the map pressure coming out here. And I think that it's going to be a lot of damage to this base of C3PO if Meowcat commits. And if he doesn't commit, he's just going to force the units all back and away. And we see the Argonauts slinking through here are going to start getting onto the mexes. Meow not committing in, but concerned about this torpedo launcher, once again leaves the Riptide, just goes back, gets the Riptide. Nice decision to go back in there. Goes in, commits in, takes out the con, about to take out the tidal generator, does lose some more Hippocampus, but the Mex goes down, and now the Argonauts arrive. The Mexes are going to start falling. The Orca is in the back line for C3PO, taking out some Mexes as well from APB. But there is no answer to these Argonauts. These 5 Argonauts are just going to absolutely shred APM's metal income. The Orca has snuck through. 8 kills on this Orca is frankly extremely good, but C3PO's base is in trouble. The Orca is going to get caught out here by more Argonauts. Maybe not yet, actually. The Argonaut kind of leaves it live. We have a bit of a running fight up here between Raxel and Zeeberg. Zeeberg trading pretty decently with these Argonauts, but Raxel pushing forward. And now Meow moving this Argonaut mass up and creating more pressure on Zeeberg. It's kind of looking absolutely dire. C3PO opting for another lab, not a good sign with how expensive labs are for naval units. We do have some Hippocampus sneaking through, finding some tidal generators actually. We have a C-Lab switch here. Ladon, or Ladon, who knows, one of the two. showing up, going back to the old school meta that when I played on this map in a competitive setting, of using the torpedo gunships to just take out every single C-Mex on the map. It does appear that they actually one-shot the C-Mexes, and if a fighter shows up and harries you, you just land, and you find out rapidly that the fighter cannot kill you. But instead, unfortunately, Meow, not knowing all of the dark secrets yet, loses his 2 of the seaplanes to the fighter, but a third one still going along, taking out more mexes, denying more area. Bit of a mistake to not be splitting up as well. The seaplane should be going into multiple different directions. One goes down, one goes up, and then you just harass as best you can in multiple areas. But the damage is already done. C-3PO's base is collapsing under the pressure. Zeeberg is about to fall, quite possibly, to the Argonauts, hiding out on his little mountain hilltop, but now Elisaurs show up. They have a Syracusia out here to try and assist him, but Zeeberg is being chipped away, threatened from all sides. Commander's head goes down. Zeeberg is dead. We have some Banshees showing up. We have Riptides now trying to contest, but the Argonauts are very good on the retreat. And APB is just running the map. And now we see the gunship show up to the north. More mexes go down. More mexes are targets of opportunity. And this game is rapidly spiraling out of control against APM. Though currently they are doing a good job of holding the line. And we do see a very nice counterattack here by C-3PO, actually equalizing up the army. But the problem is, to the north, Zeeberg is in dire straits. The torpedo gunships are busy, not doing a lot, but they're doing their best. And behind all of this, APB, other than being behind an army somewhat, is beginning to just take control of the map state. C-3PO moving his base to the front, actually really paying off for him, definitely keeping them in the game. And Zeeberg actually finds a lot of reclaim on the ground for himself. So metal produced in favor of APB up to a 10%, 11% advantage, but that's only 5k metal. And there is probably about 2,000 metal scattered around the sea here. So the advantage not so big. Army value equaling out though. We see a counterattack going down in the central choke point, but another counterattack rings forth from Blodir. Argonauts going in to snipe out even more mexes. And this is just going to start bleeding away at APM's economy. Possibly good engage here. I don't actually know who's favored. Riptides get the first few kills. We are seeing some Riptides beginning to go down. Seaplane fighters show up. Astrapios? Taking out the Falcons. But now the torpedo gunships show up and level the playing field. We see Zeeberg moving down, forcing back the fleet, but Raxel pushes in, just not enough units anymore. Army value swings too much, and APB 2-0 versus APM move on to the semifinals. The game felt like it wasn't very close, but statistics-wise, that game looked close the whole time, but map state-wise, APB was just so far ahead, it felt like.